end of the night, and I've never done any work. And so, me being the alcoholic that I am, I said I'll change drinks. I'll stop. It's the Tanqueray. You see, it's that Tanqueray that's doing that. So I'll just cut off the Tanqueray. And I met this girl who was the manager of that place, and she drank Christian Brothers brandy. So I say, and that's kind of smooth. It sounds smooth too, you know. Big man like me, I can handle some brandy, you know. And so I changed the brandy, you know. And I remember we would be setting in at home. We later married, and we would be setting in. And she was a social drinker, and she was trying to make me a social drinker, and I was trying to become a social drinker, you see. And I wanted to drink like her. You see, because she could take a drink and wouldn't have to drink no more, you know, till whenever she decided to, you know, and she couldn't understand why I couldn't do that, and I couldn't understand it neither. But she would come in and she would call and she would say, well, what you want to do tonight? And I'd say, well, you know, let's stay in, you know, and just spend the evening in. And she said, I'll stop by Rothschild and pick up a bottle, and then we'll just have a romantic evening at home. And I'd say, okay. And that was our plan. And she'd stop at Rothschild and bring the fifth of Christian Brothers brandy in, and she'd come in and she'd take her a sip of brandy, and she'd go and you know, freshen up and go down in the bedroom ready for a romantic evening. And I'd be sitting there at that table romancing that bottle until every drop was gone. You see, and I could not get away from that table. I have to drink every drop of it. And then when all of that's gone, then I have to go out in the street and get some more, you see. And it wasn't no telling when I would come back. And I started drinking out in the street, and I started drinking with the people in the street, and I started bringing those people in the street at home, you know. And it drove my wife out of there, you see, because I was bringing the gutter into the house, you see. And shortly after that, I remember being fired from the bartender job because it was so much embarrassment to her, because every time that I was supposed to work from 3 to clothing, they would have to call her to come down there and close that place up because I would be drunk back there in the stockroom, you see. And then they end up firing me, and I end up over there in Statesville Penitentiary because the guy that owned the place, my mind told me that he was firing me because he wanted my wife. And he pulled a pistol, and you don't pull a pistol on me. I'm a drunk, you know. You don't pull. I'm revengeful, you know. And I was still on federal parole, and I'm coming down Douglas Boulevard about 100 miles an hour with 3 guns in my car. And even in Chicago, you can't be traveling with sawed-off shotguns, you see. So I ended up back over in Statesville for 5 more years, and that stuff went on and on and on. And I didn't know that it was about the alcoholism, you know. So I come out of there, and she was gone, and I'm in the streets of Chicago, and I'm drinking every day, man. I'm over there on 47th and Michigan Avenue, and I'm drinking. You know, I'm just living the drink, man. You know, I'm just living the drink. And I'm staying down at Frederick Douglass High School in the basement down there. I'm going up on 47th and Michigan up there at the stop and go up there, and I'm eating out of the store, you see. By this time, I got to have me a drink every day. I got to have it. You see, I got to have a drink because it had gotten to the point to where I couldn't eat until I drank, you see. And so I go in the store and I fill the cart up. In them days, you could kind of like, you know, you could eat out of the store and it wasn't theft, you know. And I'd fill up the shopping cart and I'd just eat out of the shopping store cart, you know, and just leave the stuff in there. As long as you don't bring it outside, it wasn't theft. You know, and then I chase it down with a fifth of their wine, some of the old cheap wine, and I leave out there. Then it got to the point I got bought out of all the stores up there on Michigan Avenue, you know. So now I'm just bombing, man. I'm bombing and begging in the streets of Chicago, man, panhandling, you know. And I had 2 brothers who preceded me in this fellowship, and one of them is still alive today, oldest, and he's been sober now for a very long time, about 30 years, and that's not nothing in terms of longevity. It's just to say that as a result of that, he and I do have a relationship today, because there was a time when he and I as brothers did not have a relationship because of my alcoholism and because of his alcoholism. So at any point, he had gotten sober, and he was in this fellowship with my brother Jimmy, and somebody notified him, and they came up to Chicago and got me and brought me back to Cincinnati, brought me back home, and that's when the treatment centers started. They started putting me in and out of treatment centers, and I'm not an alcoholic, and I don't need to be in treatment, and so they put me me in there and I leave out. You see, and that went on for a period of time because I'm the kind of alcoholic you ain't gonna tell me what to do. You see, and this is my life, and you don't tell me how to run my life, and I'm grown, and on and on and on and on. You know how we is about that stuff. So I left, you know, and they stopped. They gave up. You know, they gave up. They got tired of it. So I kept on doing what I was doing, and I think the last treatment center they put me in, I was able to muster up about 6 months of dry drunken. You know, I wanted to drink because I wasn't convinced that I was an alcoholic. I wanted to drink, but I also found the need to, my mind was telling me that if I got back to Chicago and got my job back and got my wife back, I would be okay, period. And